He's the Iverson who's taking the beating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? He's the Iverson.
That's the Iverson.
Yep.
Oh, good. Gentlemen.
Hey yo.
Hey, yo. My man, Chico. Got Mr. Okida. And we got Dr. Soul.
Dr. Soul.
Dr. Soul in the house.
It's a historic day.
SOLE. Let's not get it twisted.
I mean, we're going on what, like 9 months now? Something like that?
Yeah.
It's a historic day
a very
for the
historic
Think
day.
RBA podcast.
Absolutely. We got our first official in-house guest in the flesh. In the flesh. With the flesh. With the flesh, the kicks,
fire.
the souls, the fire, the whatever you want to call it. The item that he specializes, the man on the wall over there. The goat of goats. The goat. He said it himself.
The goat.
He said it himself. We got the goat kicks off the goat in a whole assortment. This is a buffet. This is a buffet right here. You want to go to
just look at
exquisite. Then this is just a
just
snippet.
look at these.
It's
This is just a snippet. And look at, like, my God.
Right. There's just so much heat in here. Like I gotta take my hoodie off, man. I'm gonna take my hoodie off. But man, Dr. Soul, we wanna officially welcome you.
Thank you, guys.
To the Think RBA podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you for having me.
Man, we can't thank you enough for
Thank
blessing
you guys
us.
letting me on a wonderful podcast. You know, you guys have been telling me to come on for a while. Couldn't make it out here, but had to make it happen.
But you took the time out, man. We appreciate that very much. And we appreciate you all for watching. So once again, before we kick it off, remember to subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, your aunties and uncles and cousins and all that.
And ring the bell.
Get
the alerts.
Yes.
When new episodes are uploaded.
Especially when we draw heat like this. Like, you don't want to miss out on this.
The Detours?
Louis?
The Louis.
Come on, man.
Samosas?
Yeah, what you know about that chutney, man? What you know about that chutney?
But I think before we start really get into it, where can we find him?
Oh.
Yeah, where can they find him? We know where to find him.
Where can
he's
with us, right? Where you all can find him is at PS and who. So PS _ and _ who. So not the end symbol, AND WHO.
Yep.
And you know what's really easy? If you follow at Think RBA, you can find him real easy
100%.
because he's there.
Yep.
He's there.
Yep.
He's RBA.
He's
RBA.
Officially part
All
of the
right.
RBA
RBA
group.
fan, man. RBA fan.
Yeah.
He's been part of the RBA group before we started this video
Absolutely.
podcast.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Back to the Discord days.
Yes.
Discord,
That's right. My
Discord
man.
days. Let's
My
go.
man. That's right. Discord, bro.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think that was the first time I ever used Discord. So confusing.
We had all these messages go back.
Yeah, man. I think the Discord was one of the reasons why I was like not so responsive. The first time on there, I was like, what the heck is going on?
It's a
Why are
learning
there
curve.
like 4 conversations happening at once?
Yeah, it's
was
a learning
intense.
curve. Yeah, and my man, he brought me onto it, but we appreciate you once again. So we took Discord, virtual, brought it live for y'all, and let's get into the conversation.
Let's get into it.
So what's the first thing you've been wanting to ask this man?
Man. Okay. So I just got to give you the full context and be 100% truthful and upfront. I don't know shit about shoes.
It's okay.
I'm not a
man.
sneakerhead.
It's okay. It's okay.
I grew up poor. I didn't have money to collect shoes.
Listen, man.
I was lucky to go to the Reebok store, get some like $30 Reeboks.
Man, I was a Payless.
man.
I would
listen.
Payless, yes.
As much as I'm into sneakers now, we grew up Indian. I shopped at Payless too. My parents shopped at Payless.
You know what y'all
too.
don't know about? My man knows about Bata.
Yes.
Bata, man. Bata chappal.
Bata chappal was
I had a lot of
great.
chittar in Bata chappal, man. Chittar means beatdowns by my parents. Bata is a brand.
Is it like
the most famous brand in India?
yeah.
So is it like an equivalent to the whole, you've heard of like in the Hispanic community, they have the chancla?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that preface, I'm not really a sneakerhead. I don't really know the difference between a lot of the shoes, but
No worries.
I think
That's what I'm here for.
like looking at all of this and seeing how like just a wide array of designs and colors and textures. I really just wanted to start off asking, so a client comes to you and they want to do a project. How does that collaboration and creative process start, and what does it look like throughout?
So it's a great question. Actually, perfect question to ask because I just had 4 or 5 clients reach out to me recently about shoes for their weddings and stuff. But usually what I tell them is I'd like to break my customs down in 3 categories. Unfortunately, today I only have one of the 3 categories here. But, usually I break it down to tiers, right? So the first category would be painted customs. That's where I take a shoe, which is, whether it's Nike, Reebok, Adidas, a pre-made shoe. And I strip the finish on there, just like you strip finish on wood. And then I paint whatever design they want and I reapply the finish. Something like that, I usually tell the client that it costs anywhere from $150 to $700, $800, depending on how detailed that paintwork is. I've painted portraits on shoes as well. It takes a lot of time, so I have to charge accordingly. The second category is a semi-reconstructed shoe. That'll be like a Air Force One check swap, where I'll take the check, which is originally on the Nike shoe, I'll unstitch it, pull it off, I'll make a new check, whether it's out of, designer material, Indian fabric, exotic material, custom made, custom design altogether. And then I'll glue it back on and I'll re-stitch it back onto the shoe so it won't come back off. That's a semi-reconstructed. That usually starts anywhere from $150-ish and again can go up to like $300-$400 depending on, what else you add on to it. If you wanted to do like a painted logo on there, if you wanted to write dates, wedding dates on there, if you wanted to also swap out the tongue and put a new fabric tongue on there, And then the most expensive, which I have today, are the fully reconstructed shoes. So this is where I take a shoe, I take the whole top leather off of that shoe and I throw it in a bin. So all I have is a base sole. And I buy new leather, new fabric, whatever the design would be. I buy that material, I cut up all that material, I glue it, back it, reinforce it, and then stitch and reconstruct the whole shoe from scratch. So all of these shoes in front of us and to the side are all fully reconstructed shoes. These I charge anywhere from $1,500 all the way up to $5,000-$6,000. Based on the material cost, based on the design, the silhouette, and how many hours it's going to take me.
Wow. Okay, that is I guess that's the foundation, right? The foundation is the sole, hence Dr. Soul, and then the buildup.
Yep.
So when a client says, I want such and such, right? Now, on average, if I'm a client, I say, hey, PS, can you create me whatever? I need this in a week. What's a realistic expectation I should have and say?
Yeah. So a realistic expectation in a week is probably not happening.
Okay.
Truth be told, it takes about, anywhere from 35 to 50 plus hours to make a shoe from scratch. I usually like to tell all my clients that a full recon is going to take 2 to 3 months. Just because, to have a safe thing, not 2 to 3 months, more like 4 to 5 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks is usually the time frame I tell everyone. If it's a paint job, it can, again, vary based on how much detail there is in the shoe. A simple one could take a week, 2 weeks to do like a check swap. It also depends on how many shoes. I've had orders of a whole set of groomsmen shoes, Now that's eight pairs you have to do of, check swaps. And nothing like this, but still that's 8 shoes, which I have to take all the checks off, cut out new checks, glue them on, stitch them on, unfinish the shoe, refinish it, put the names on each one. Still going to take at least 3-4 weeks to do because it takes time. Each part of it takes time. Going to New York or ordering the material online, waiting for it to come in, all these variables, I usually like to tell everyone, 4 to 6 weeks on a recon is the base.
Okay. So what's your favorite material to work on and your not so favorite?
Okay. So favorite would probably cowhide just because it's the most sturdy. It's the base base material you can do.
Okay.
For most colors. You know, when it comes to black, for example, I personally love using black suede. I feel like black suede is the darkest black you can get in any of the materials. Like if you look at the Dior's, that black has a little bit of a glaze to it. Where if you look at the Louis Vuittons, the black in there is a suede. It looks pitch black. You know, so I feel like when you have a black suede, which is that dark, it makes every other color pop. You know, so that's probably my favorite, is to work with something like that, or like the white, which is on, you know, the green SB pine greens, or even the white on the blue Travis Scott's, the Python ones. The material which I hate to work with the most is any thin fabric, silk, satin. Oh no, actually, the material which I hate the most. Absolute most, and I had a client who had commissioned me to do this shoe for Kendrick Lamar, is sequins.
Okay.
You know, that the material which, you know, you push up. Yeah,
oh my God.
Kendrick Lamar wears Nike Cortez all the time. So I had a client of mine who had commissioned me to stitch the sequins onto a pre-made Nike Cortez, which they were presenting, you know, and pitching to Kendrick Lamar at the time. And I still to this day have sequins all over my room. Randomly, it just another piece just shows up out of nowhere. Wow. It was all over the apartment. It got to my parents' house. It got to my parents' dental office, the car, our laundry machine. God knows where else that sequence comes out of, you know? And it's been almost a year since I did that shoe. I still find sequins everywhere.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Wow.
So that's probably, I think, the worst material to ever work.
Okay.
So how long have you been doing this, and what, like, did you just pick up a shoe one day and say, you know what, I'm going to take this apart and put it back together?
Kind of. So I've been customizing sneakers since probably 2003. I mainly specialized in just painting at that time. I had stopped for some time when I went to med school, got out of med school, started it back up. It was just a hobby turned business. That's really what the truth is. And then want to say about 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I met one of my colleagues and team members, I guess you could say, Michael Elliott, and he actually super young at that time. He was 21. You know, he's 26 now. So no, actually, he was younger than that. He was, I think, 18 at that time. So this is like maybe 7-8 years ago. And at that time, I didn't know how to make a shoe. Never wanted to make a shoe. To be honest, I was just like, okay, I want to paint shoes. I watched him. From watching him, I kind of taught myself how to make a pair of Yeezys. Was the first recon I made.
Wow.
And at that time, I didn't have like a high-tech machine or anything. I had a $25 sewing machine from Kmart, which my mom's used for Indian clothes. You know,
Right.
like that's the reality of it. You know. And I took a pair of Yeezys I had, and I ripped it apart, and I was like, okay, let's see if I can reverse engineer this. So I figured it out, and I made the whole Yeezy. It was actually a Python Yeezy, a white Python Yeezy I made on a $65 sewing machine. And I went to a meet and greet for the shoe surgeon, who was in New York at the time promoting his brand. And I showed it to him, and he was like, I don't believe you did this. He's like, there's no way you did this on a $45 sewing machine. You couldn't have. So I showed him the video, and his jaw dropped. He's like, this is my event, and you just one-upped me. You know, He's like, this is super impressive.
Wow.
So afterwards, I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to stick to making Yeezys. I'm not going to make any Jordans or anything. I'm just going to stick to Adidas Yeezys because, you know, I got this. And my friend Mike, he dared me. He's like, I dare you to make a Jordan now, you know, or Nike. You know, I was like, dude, I made the Yeezy. I'm sure I could make it, but no, I don't want to. I'd rather just focus on this and manage you. You could be the one, you know, who's making Jordans and everything. And I remember we had gotten into some argument. I don't know what it was over, but it was definitely, and he'll admit it as much as I do, it was definitely his immaturity at that time. You know, it was young. So I was like, you know, I was also a little immature as well. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove that I can actually do it. So I went home and I took a Nike blazer. I took it apart, taught myself how to make the patterns, rebuilt it, and did a pretty decent job. He was impressed, and then he's like, okay, let's do it on Jordan 1. Fine. And that was the history, you know?
Wow.
That's literally, so I never wanted to do any of this, but got to a point where I enjoyed it so much, and I perfected it to a point where I can't look back now.
You know this is it, right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, before you say anything, that story right there was like the true epitome of real ballers adjust. Right?
Oh, yeah.
RBA, like, oh, you don't think I could do something? I bet.
Right.
Yeah.
Say
right.
less.
Exactly.
Say less.
So question is, you talked about like all these materials that you work with, right? What are some of the more exotic materials you've dabbled with or willing to dabble with?
So I've worked on anything from cowhide, suede, python, which is a pretty expensive exotic material. That's real snake skin. I'll be using crocodile this year. I've done, designer material, Louis Vuitton, Dior, Gucci. I'm going to be doing one of the more expensive Louis Vuitton bags this year. A pair of Louis Vuitton denim jeans as well, which, is going to be super interesting.
Wow.
That's going to be a very expensive jean, which I'm cutting up. It's going to be Louis Vuitton denim with pink python. Wow. And then I'm going to have some panels are going to probably be white to throw it off and blend it together. So it's not just blue and pink. But
wow.
I haven't fully decided the colorway of that one yet.
Okay.
But that's definitely going to be a very unique piece.
So you're exploring outside of shoes.
Yeah.
Starting to.
Yeah. So that's going to be a full fit. So the client who commissioned me for that, he provided the jeans, real Louis Vuitton jeans. We're going to turn those into shorts for him. We're going to put some of that pink python onto the shorts as well. So it ties in with the shoes, and it'll be a whole summer fit.
So going back to the kind of like the collaboration process, do clients often come in and say like, this is what I want detail by detail by detail? Or do they come and say, I have a general idea, but like, what do you
It's a mix.
think?
It's definitely a mix. I know some clients, most of the shoes you see here are personal samples that I've made, so I'll make the sample, I'll post it on Instagram, and people will be like, hey, I want a pair of those.
I need it.
I want a pair of those.
All right, go.
He already got his eye on one of them.
Yeah.
It's too expensive for my blood.
But then there are clients, like this client of mine who's, it's a celebrity client, and they're like, listen, I have these jeans. What can you do with them? And I went home and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? This blue Louis Vuitton will look really nice with something pink. That combination of blue and pink is really nice. And I was like, okay, I don't want to just use, genuine leather because it's not special then to me. I got to one up it even more, and make it even more unique. Special is not the word, the more unique, So I was like, okay, I can do, either alligator or I could do python. And I was like, python, I think will just fit more. It'll look a little bit more calm. I think the alligator was too clashing. So I think the python was the way to go.
So the acquisition of these exotic materials is not based on some inhumane act.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. There's actually a huge industry in there. There's a huge, I wouldn't say just market, but there's definitely an industry in where, these animals are definitely, from at least my knowledge, or, each part of them is being utilized for something other, whether it's like, their skeleton being used for science, their meat being used for, the food industry and stuff like that, where, okay, the skin is left too. What can we utilize the skin for? Send it to the leather stores and let them sell it.
These animals that kind of deceased on whatever natural causes, not based on like
As far as I know, they are. It's not like I'm going out back and hunting rattlesnake and
right.
No, I'm actually, ironically, I'm very conscious about taking care of animals. Avid animal lover, But again, this industry, using real leather, the animals aren't, just being killed for their leather. They're being used for other means of, food and stuff like that as well.
So you opened the door a few minutes ago. I don't know if you even realized that you opened the door. So you talked about celebrity clients, and so my question is going to be a one part with a caveat.
Okay.
Which is, so what is it like working as you've progressed from a hobby to a legit business now? As you started to get more prominent celebrity clients, what was that like initially? What is that like now? Good, bad, and ugly. Not saying that you have to say names,
right?
But if you do have some good experiences, feel free to shout them out.
So, over the years, I have noticed a few things. Celebrities are just like every other person. They're everyday people. In the beginning, I definitely was clout chasing, you could say. Like I was avidly trying to meet celebrities, gift them, stuff like that. And I feel like one thing which I've learned in the years is if you gift a shoe to someone who is a celebrity per se, they're not going to respect it as much as if they pay for it. They definitely want to be treated more like an everyday human. Now, like, okay, you can, on the business end of things, we have a tendency of being like, oh, I'm still going to get the likes out of it if I post it, the promotion, which I'm going to get. So I'm going to just gift it to him as a promotional piece. But at the same time, if they were to buy it off of you, they feel like it's worth their money for them to do that kind of a thing, So that's one thing I've definitely noticed is like, if when the time comes and you get the attention you deserve, you'll get it genuinely. And I've had clients reach out to me and been like, hey, we want to buy this shoe. And I've offered like, hey, can I work out a deal where if you, I'll give you the shoe if you promote it. And, few of them had turned like ghosted me after that. And that's when I started realizing and I spoke to a couple of them, genuinely. And like, listen, like, I'd rather just buy it off of you and call it a day. You have a client in me. I just, I don't want it to be a business transaction like that. Genuinely, most of them, I think probably 5 out of 6 of them actually just still wound up throwing it on Instagram and posting me and tagging me and doing all that out of their own, kind heart without me even asking. But definitely, I think they're just everyday people. Great experiences. I could definitely tell you. I think the most humbling example which I have is Indian celebrity Veerdas, who once I did gift him a small custom, which because I was a huge fan and again I was starstruck. He appreciated so much. He reached out to me a year later to make a shoe for his Netflix special, and made the shoe, charged him for the shoe. And afterwards, he blew me up on social media. But did not ask for it. I did not expect it. Totally didn't. To the extent that, he wound up giving me full credit in his Netflix special for making the shoe as well. It was a huge honor. I don't think I've met someone as humble who's, in that limelight, to be honest. Yeah, that's probably the best example I can give,
That's awesome.
Yeah, Veer Das is... even if you listen to like, he comes off, he's very like, he's like for the people, like about the people type of comedian. He's a comedian. He's a very well-renowned comedian. He actually has a bunch of Netflix specials.
Yeah. Emmy Award winning now.
Yeah.
That shoe was part of the Emmy Award. So
I'm
an Emmy Award winning shoe customizer now.
I'm going back to look at it this weekend.
Yeah,
I'm going to find that episode.
You will die laughing, man.
Yeah, he's and even like his comedy is very, very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Very thoughtful comedy. So man, looking at all these shoes, what has been your probably most favorite project to work on to date? Or is that still yet to happen?
It's hard to say. It's like that question. What's your favorite child?
Yep. Listen, everybody got their favorite child. That's
I kind of feel like that.
I like them all for different reasons.
Yeah, I really do. I have to.
All right, I got a better way to frame this. God forbid, if your house is burning down and you could save one pair.
My birthday shoe from 2 years ago.
One custom pair.
One custom pair, probably the Dior's.
The Dior's. Yeah. Okay.
Just because I feel like it's a shoe which, one of the things about me is anytime I make a shoe, first thing I say is find me a flaw. I want to know, I want that criticism on what I could have done better. And I don't think anyone, at least close to me, has been able to find, more than 2 or 3 flaws on that shoe. By flaws, I mean maybe like a little bit of a wobbly stitch or, a spot which I didn't paint or, like it had to be like a millimeter off kind of thing. But I think that's the shoe which probably came out the cleanest. The material is the most expensive, hard to get. Probably will only make one more.
Oh, wow.
And that's it. I don't think there's that many of these Dior bags, authentic bags anymore either. So I would probably say, the Dior's. You know what?
He's torn.
So, okay, I'll tell you what I'm torn between. So the Dior's are one option. The rest of these are probably not as high as an option just because I could probably remake these if the push came to shove. The only other 2 pairs which I'm between is I have a pair at home which is based off of Nike Dunk, which probably sells for like $200,000 at this moment, or 150-ish.
Wow.
It's based off of the New York City Jeff Staple Pigeon Dunks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And there's another pair which is based off of Takashi Murakami, another Japanese designer. And the only reason I put those in the same category is because both of those are signed.
So I've seen
Jeff
those
Staple,
on your
Jeff Staple actually, when I made the shoes, I made 2 pairs and I met him in New York City and he loved them. Even though they're not technically, none of these shoes are Nike products because they're all handmade by me. He loved them so much he signed them. And it's not often that he signs a non-Nike release shoe.
Okay.
Or a non official release shoe.
Okay.
And then the Takashi Murakami shoe, similar story. Takashi Murakami is a Japanese artist who doesn't really speak English. He speaks Japanese. Went to ComplexCon, I made a shoe using the same Murakami flower pattern from one of his bags. And I remember he was walking around doing meet and greets. No autographs, no pictures at the time. His photo session and his autograph sessions were 2 separate booked sessions. And I ran out of a line to go see him and just shake his hand. And he saw the shoes and he grabbed them from me. And his translator had come, his assistant, she was like, she translated for him. He was like, how did you make these? And I explained them the process and he grabbed a marker and he signed it right there.
Wow. Respect.
So those are probably, I think, the only 2 just because you can't get those signatures again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So game recognized game.
Yeah.
Right. So, I looked at these off camera.
Yep.
Because first of all, it's red and black, right? I mean, Think RBA, all my Atlanta sports. I just noticed though that it actually says Air Dior.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that before. I was so enthralled with just like the patterns and the colors that I didn't even see it says Air Dior. Wow. That's
so the story behind these was I think I want to say 2020 maybe. Nike had done an official collab with the Dior's, which was a gray silhouette, clear sole bottom, gray silhouette with white, and it had the checks were out of Dior fabric, and so was the tongue. Tongue was white. The insoles were also Dior fabric, and the checks were, that black and gray Dior, which is a staple. Super expensive. They went for I think retail was 1,000 plus, almost 2,000, and then resale at that time when they first released was like 10K. And I was like, I can't afford this shoe, between 5 people did. People did 5 to, I think it was 5 to 10K. I could be wrong. I think it was 5 to 8, to be honest, depending on size. And I was like, okay, I can't do this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own Dior, and I'm going to make it, in my opinion, better than what they came out with. So I'm going to use genuine leather.
One up them. One up the originator.
And I'm gonna use Dior from an actual Dior bag. It has to be authentic material. And I'm gonna do one of the OG colorways. You know? After I finish the shoe, and even if you look at the shoe, the other pair right there on the tongue, I even put the actual authentication tag from the Dior bag, which has the serial number and everything on the tongue tag there.
Got receipts.
He said, I got receipts.
Yep. And then I dyed the soles. I had a colleague of mine help me and dyed the soles. I put the Dior, Air Dior, you could flip that one. That one should say Dior on the bottom.
Yep.
Just like the actual Dior's do. You know, the Jordan ones, because they have the Wings logo on that shoe and they have the Dior written on that one. Airbrushed the Air Dior Wings logo on the side. And that's actually one in a set of 5. Didn't mention this to you earlier as well. You know, again, I like to do things where it's like a little bit different. I want to do things which are more of a series. It has more of a story to them. So that's also a story of 5 shoes, which are all going to be the OG sneakers, OG colorways. You know, that's the band one or the bread one or the alternative ones, away ones. Where it's the black and red colorway. You have the Chicagos, which are the home colorway. You have the black toes. You have the Royals and you have the Shadows. Those were the first 5 Jordan 1 colorways. Either the Shadows or the neutral grays, which were white and gray, but combination of gray. So those were the first 5 Jordan 1s which came out. So I'm taking each silhouette and I'm doing a designer version of it. So this was the Dior. I'll have a Chicago out of Louis Vuitton. I'll have a Gucci black toe. I believe I'm going to do a Goyard Royal Jordan 1. And then the neutral gray, I haven't finalized yet. But each one is going to be a different designer material. And that'll be the set.
So it's easy to say that, you know, clearly you didn't choose the game chose you.
100%.
Right?
So can I follow up on that? Because I wanted to ask this earlier. The game chose you, but you also were in med school. Did anybody tell you, like, what are you doing? You're crazy. Why are you choosing shoes over med school?
100%. You know, being Indian, growing up Indian, I went to med school. I love medicine. Absolutely love it. I have no regrets going to med school. But to be honest, you know, being brought up in an Indian family, you know, you always had the pressure of you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a lawyer. You know, those are the big
or some type of owner of a business.
Right. But business would be like maybe a retail business or something like that, or a wholesale business, like a established business, you know, not an entrepreneur. So I went to med school mainly to, you know, prove to people that my parents can raise successful kids. You know, that's the reality of it. But when I went there, you know, I went to the Caribbean for medicine. Unfortunately, I had some setbacks even in that, where, you know, things didn't go the way I wanted them to. I finished med school. I took my exams. Unfortunately, you know, I tried to get my exams canceled. I took them 3 times. The first time I sent my grandfather to the hospital the night before my exam. You know, unfortunately, he passed away 2 weeks. You know, I had told him that I wanted to cancel the exam. I thought it got canceled. So, you know, not having my full focus there, I failed by 1 question. Studied again, took it again. There was construction going on. Told him to cancel it. Didn't get canceled. And now, you know, I studied again. I was like, you know, fine, I'll take it 1 more time. Truth is, I got tired of studying. You know, when you're sitting in the basement or in your room and you're studying 12 to 18 hours a day nonstop, doing question over and over and over again, it gets very tiring, you know, 7 days a week until your exam. And then you got to ramp it up, not meeting people, not doing it. Gets really hard. So I think by the time I took it the 3rd time, I was fully burnt out, you know, failed. Thought, you know, first I was like, you know, can I do this again? Can I really do it? And I was like, you know what? I'm just not good at taking exams. Wasn't meant to be. It's okay. You know, there are people who have passed even afterwards, become doctors. You know, but you lose motivation. You know, so I wound up leaving being a doctor, went back to school to do physician assistant. I graduated from Kane University with the, honors, dean's, dean list, honors graduate, was tracking biology, and I was ready to go at PA school. I was like, I've already done med school. I've already done my rotations. I know I have all the knowledge. It's an easier route. The exam's not as hard. I can get into any PA school with my grades, 4.0 GPA, like I'm set. And then COVID hit. Once COVID hit, I was like, yeah, maybe I should rethink. If I become a physician assistant, I'm exposing myself to more risk. If I just try to focus on my business full time, can stay home, take care of the family, enjoy what I'm doing. And that's really what it was. That was what the drive was from leaving medicine to doing this.
That's such an RBA story, right? Like,
bro, for real.
Being able to okay, I went on one path, it didn't work out, but I adjusted, literally RBA adjusted, and I took this next path, and here I am with a successful business, working, got celebrity clients, and prominent in the game. So much respect to you, man. I would say your parents raised a successful.
Thank you.
man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Work in progress still.
We all are.
Yeah,
we all are.
100%.
Yeah, Desi households, man. If you don't check off some of those boxes, there's always going to be that asterisk.
Yeah.
Listen,
It's
I
always
think
like
honestly, the support which I got from later on in life also, changed. My wife, my mother-in-law, even my older sister's in-laws, they sat my parents down one day and they're like, he's so talented with what he's doing as a hobby. Why don't you guys try to let him focus on it full time and see how it goes? And, I think that was a big changing factor in their opinion on this. And that's when they realized that, it's a risk, which we were afraid of taking. Our generation is afraid of taking these risks. And it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
You can only get better once you fail. That's the reality of it, And even in this industry, I've had ups and downs. I've made mistakes. I'm still making mistakes, but I'm learning from them and improving on them. And who knows where it's going to go, Might be doing this, might stop doing this, Don't think I will, but you never know.
No, and like you, which kind of goes along with our mantra, like you're putting in the reps.
Yeah.
Right. And you just kept putting reps, whereas had you quit or had you stopped, then that growth wouldn't have progressed, right?
Yep.
Well, and you didn't take the easy route either.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Not at all.
you
Not
took
at
the
all.
harder, the grind.
Yeah.
He's like correct me if I'm wrong, you're like a pioneer for us Desis.
Oh, 100%.
Right,
I think I'm.
He's the Iverson who's taking the beating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. He's the Iverson
That's the Iverson.
Yeah.
who's taking that beating for us.
Oh man.
Because he's creating that path for the next,
That's
Desi
awesome.
or whoever to come out and say, you know what, if he can do it, I'm inspired by him. So he's even if you don't want to be, he's like a role model.
Yeah, you're right. In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you, because I know we talked off camera and you had said you like to be working on a lot of projects simultaneously. And this is your personal collection.
Yep.
How do you balance between client work and that creativity and then your own personal work and that creativity?
So it's very hard, but reality is client comes first. Always. Client comes first. I will put my project aside. If it dies, it dies, but the client comes first. If let's say the client wants the same shoe, they're my size and they get the shoe. Simple as that. If they have a similar concept as something I'm working on, it is what it is. They come first though. 100%.
When you're doing your own, like you're working on your personal, what is your creative thought? Like, what is your thought process? Because like the Dior one, right?
Yeah.
You said you cut up 2 bags for that. Like,
Yep.
So just what is your creative thought process when you put it together?
I have, again, one of the things I was about to touch up on, I slipped my mind. The reason I slipped my mind is the reason I work on 15 projects at once, 10 to 15, is I also have severe ADHD, which is one of the reasons why studying for me was impossible. You
Makes
know,
sense.
because it's not like, the best way to put it, a good friend of mine, an uncle of mine, the way he explained it to me, because he also has ADHD, is it's not that you don't understand things. That's the misconception with ADHD. Everyone thinks that, your brain's not working properly or you're not understanding. The reality is our brain is working too fast for us to fully focus,
Yep.
So in order for that, the way I've coped with it is I try to take on more work. So, if I start getting bored of one job, I'll switch and start working on another shoe. Then I'll switch to another shoe. And I'll switch to another shoe. And I'll get back to the first one and it'll feel fresh again. I won't get tired of it and frustrated with it. If it's not working, I won't get frustrated and just start over. I'll be able to just be like, all right, I'm tired of this one. Let me work on this one a little bit. That's how I've coped with it. But that's really how I work on multiple projects. Now, when it comes to coming up with concepts, very similar thing is I have a tablet, a sketch pad, apps in the, computer and the tablet, and I'm constantly coming up with things and
like
just drawing
designs.
and making up mock-ups and stuff like that, Being an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, I'm not working 9 to 5, I'm working 24/7.
Yep.
So I'll be driving and I'll be like, yo, that's a concept. Or I'll be talking to a friend of mine and he'll be like, yo, you should do this, and I'll be like, why hasn't anyone else done that? Or like some of these shoes, I'll take a silhouette or colorway which has already been done on a different shoe and I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to use this colorway and put it on this silhouette, I'm a big OG sneaker collector. I've been collecting sneakers since, early 2000s. So, one of the things with me is I used to not like, straying from what is out and what is a classic. Originally I used to make a lot of shoes like the Detours where it's the same colors as Jordan brands use, but just changing the materials here and there. Now I'm starting to more step in the lines like, okay, let's take this silhouette and put it on this style, Even the Louis Vuitton. So that Louis Vuitton is based off of a Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low. And I was thinking about it. I did a high top version and it went, people loved it. Unfortunately, I sold it. I regret selling that shoe, and that's one of the most expensive shoes I sold. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think anyone's done a Travis Scott Low with the exact color paneling as, the Travis Scott Low, except in Louis Vuitton. So I made that one. The Blue Python ones. Now, that's a 2.0. The original blue, red, and blue, white, and black with a little bit of red, which I made, was a suede version, which was fully based off of the Travis Scott Jordan 4s. Color blocking was similar, and I love that shoe. It actually got me the most likes on any of my Instagram posts. I think it was in the double-digit thousands. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a Python version. The Jordan one right there with the green. Last year, 2020, 2023. My God, I forgot years.
Time's flying.
Yeah. The shoe of the year last year was deemed the Pine Green SB Jordan 4s. I never liked green ever in my life. I was, green to me was like so bland. I don't know why. It just didn't suit me until I saw that shoe. That shoe just had the perfect Kelly green and it wasn't overpowering. It had a gray and white. It has a gray and white, which blends well together with that green. And then it has this gum sole on the Jordan 4 silhouette as well, which just adds that touch of, hey, you can wear this dressing up a little bit. You can wear this casually with jeans and a button down. You could wear this with shorts and a t-shirt. You could wear this with anything because of that gum sole.
Right.
So I was like, man, that colorway would look perfect on a Jordan 1. And so I found the same exact material, same colors, and I made it into a Jordan 1. So inspiration can really come from anywhere. The brown shoe over here, based off of a samosa. Is literally the brown is the outside of the samosa, the cream and the inside is the potato filling, the green and the burgundy color are the actual chutneys, which you eat with the samosa. So the concepts really can come out of anywhere.
That is amazing.
Even the
That's
soul
so creative.
is a chutney, man.
Yeah.
Chutney.
That's wow.
It's gonna make me hungry for a samosa.
Wow.
Yeah. No, that's
And that's another shoe, which is a series. There's
Mhm.
going to be 4 other cities, which, are all Indian cities, which have a food that they're going to be based off. And I'm going to make a shoe based off that food too.
that's amazing.
It was crazy. Like this actually has even the gloss and the
Mhm.
shine of a samosa. Like it's that attention to detail,
Yeah.
right? That is what really makes it stand out. Like for the example on the pythons, I don't know if you noticed, Ken, right here. Like this has,
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
and then even like
I didn't see that on the
So you
side
want to
though.
see something crazy about those?
Yeah.
So this, like I said, I'm very particular with details. So the original Travis Scott's, Travis Scott is big into recreational drugs, you know? And so the concept which he had to make this different was obviously he did the reverse check, but this is actually a stash pocket. So
Oh wow.
I didn't want to just do it half-assed because there's some, some designs don't know how to do that. Some customizers, but this is actually the same stash pocket.
The stash pocket.
Wow.
Yo, that's
So you know what? It's funny. I was looking. I was like, does this come off? It looks like
It's
it
an actual
separates.
pocket for, whatever, cash.
Wow.
where my stash at?
Okay.
Stash, yeah.
Hey.
As Wayne said, where my stash at?
Wow.
That's crazy.
This is, made exactly the same way. Obviously using different material and thicker or more,
That's incredible.
exotic material, but the same exact way as the Travis Scott.
I mean, man, and the Carolina baby blue too. Like,
So
it's
I think
so
the
classic.
Jordan 4, which he had designed with Jordan Brand, the reason he used that color was because of the Oilers. The Oilers are those
Yeah.
that blue and that red
That's
color
right.
combination is what they love. So
Wow. So how's your experience been with like collaborations? Like when you come to do a collaboration with another designer, another artist, is it like, how do you guys determine what is that you're going to do? What am I going to take care of? How does that come together? That whole process.
So, with for example, the group of guys which I work with right now, and the team which I'm trying to build with them is I try to build off of each person's strength. So right now I'm in the process of figuring out, okay, who's good at what? Who has the ability to sew? Who has the ability to, paint? Who can just be a creative person? Who can be just a runner and just go and pick up and drop off stuff? What's everyone's strength and use that to our benefit? Not everyone can stitch. So I'm not going to give stitch work to someone who can't stitch, It really comes down to that. When it comes to design collaborators, it gets tricky. It definitely gets tricky, but I try to give everyone as much credit as possible. My take on it is, my take on life in general is there's too much money for us to be fighting about pennies.
Everybody
I
can
want
eat.
everyone
That's
to
a
eat.
quote. That was a bar.
That was
I
a
want
bar.
That was a
everyone
bar.
to eat. Let's say, for example, Ken, you can't work on shoes. You can't sew. You said this earlier is, you're not even into shoes. But let's say you have the ability of working with wood, Let's say, Hakamal, you have a graphic design ability, right? Well, you can work with wood. You can design a box, right? You can get the box made. Now you collaborated with me.
Right.
You can do graphic design. Okay.
Got it.
Design me a backdrop. Design me something to go with the shoes. A t-shirt,
Okay.
Design me now should be, getting paid for your guys' work too.
Right,
now
right.
instead of it being a product which is, just going in a basic bag or a box, now I can justify charging a little bit extra so that the client gets something even more unique. Now you get paid, and you worked on the project too.
Right.
So it's not just me sitting back and eating. I'm trying to help out as many people as possible.
So is in the industry though, like you see a lot of people like knowledge hoarding, right? Because I don't want you to take my territory or my like. Is there like a such a thing in this industry?
There definitely is. When I taught myself how to make these shoes and customize, there was very few people out there who did it. Now there's a handful of customizers who teach classes.
Hmm.
You know, like me, like myself, I teach classes as well, and everyone sells their own patterns.
Okay.
You know, and sometimes I'll buy patterns just to test them out. You know, without naming names. You know, there's all types of patterns. You know, some I definitely agree with. Hey, this is a good job. This pattern came out amazing. And then there's some which I don't even know why they sell it. It's not right. They cut corners. They make it, they try to make it easy for the client. But what they don't realize is most of the people who take those classes go home. They can't even reproduce that kind of a shoe with the patterns they have. They don't even know what the hell they did.
Oh, wow.
Definitely misdirection, misinformation. May he rest in peace. Even Virgil, when he came out with one of his Air Force Ones, the MCA Air Force Ones, which was an Air Force One, which was all blue. It was an off-white Air Force One collaboration. He jokingly said a quote where he was like, "You want to be a customizer? Just go to Home Depot and grab some paint." And he didn't realize that people would take him seriously and they would actually start doing that, But
Wow.
truth be told is like, again, with any art, there's a process to it. Painting shoes is not just going and buying wall paint and painting it on or buying spray paint. No, you have to strip the shoe with the glazer, paint it with acrylic leather paint, put a finish on there, and then waterproof it, It's a process.
Right.
If you just take a shoe and start painting on it, that paint is going to crack. It's not going to stay. There's customizers to this day who will give misinformation to clients even and be like, "Oh yeah, you want a red sole on this. I could paint a red sole. I could paint it. You're just going to have to put a screen protector on there." Reality is, no matter what, no matter who tells you, you can't paint rubber. Rubber does not adhere to the paint. You can stain it. You can, depending on what color it is, you can dye it, but you can't paint it. So when they say, "Oh yeah, you're going to have to wear a screen protector," yeah, you paint it and put a 3M screen protector on there that's, translucent or clear. You'll still see the color seep through a little bit. It will be protected until you pull that sole protector off. And as soon as you pull that off, all that paint is chipping off. If they don't put that sole protector on though, and you walk on cement or gravel, all that paint's cracking off too.
Wow.
But the customizer is getting paid, so he says he could do it. It's gonna look like it, in pictures, and he doesn't care after that.
Wow.
Cutting corners.
Wow.
Well, for the up and comer, where can they find you or your classes, and how can they reach out? And
So, you could find me on Instagram, ps_and_who. Me and my team will be teaching classes out of Rahway, New Jersey. It's right across the train station in a studio. I'll have more information on my Instagram. Even if they don't want to take classes with me, do your research. Talk to someone in the community. It's gotten a lot more open now. People have reviewed other people who do classes and stuff, other patterns you buy, and you weigh out your options and see what's the best one. Don't go based off of, who has the biggest name or who has the most clients and stuff. Not always that. Sometimes the quality is, more important than the fame.
Right. Just like those hole in the walls, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay.
But definitely there are, I would also say recently, just as many people giving misinformation, there's plenty of people who are sharing, One of my good friends and colleagues also, JSM 801 Customs, he's been pushing me to get back into painting sneakers again. And, he and I both have very often gone on Instagram Live and just shown how to do a whole custom from start to finish for free. The amount of knowledge he shares on his YouTube, he was sponsored by Angelus, which is a leather paint company, so he made all of their tutorial videos, which are all free to access,
Oh.
Just do your research before you jump into anything.
Watch this whole probably 2-part episode.
Yeah.
Because they just dropped a whole shit ton of knowledge on y'all today.
Man. This is the bomb drop
Mic drop.
or the explosion.
The emoji.
The head explosion.
See, I just did it. Antonio's going to put it on my face.
I did it too, though. It's okay. He'll get me too. It's all right. It's all right. We appreciate you, Antonio. But should we wrap it up then?
Yeah, man.
Man, that's enough of a buffet meal for today, and then we can kind of save some room for dessert later.
Yes, sir.
All right. So once again, thank you for joining us. Remember to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, subscribe at PSN.
Follow him.
this man. Subscribe to whatever he's doing. Sign up for whatever he's doing. Sign up for whatever we're doing.
Right.
Ring the bell. Till next time.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Peace. Oh, at
Peace.
Think RBA.